High output can hide a lot. That's the key idea I want to start with today. Because a lot of people judge how well they're coping by whether or not they're still getting things done. They ask, am I still working? Am I still training, still leading, still showing up? And if the answer is yes, then they assume that the system is coping well. But that can be misleading because output isn't always the same thing as adaptation. Output is what people see, but adaptation is what your body has to do to keep producing that output. And compensation is one way the system keeps output going when the cost starts to rise. This doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean you're broken. Compensation is actually pretty intelligent from an evolutionary point of view, but it's how the body and nervous system are keeping you functioning under pressure. And the issue is when compensation stops being a short-term strategy and becomes the normal way of operating. In practice, this often looks like someone who's still performing well from the outside. They're still running the business, still maybe seeing patients, they're managing a team, keeping the family running, maybe training when they can, getting through the week, and nothing is obviously collapsing, but underneath, the strategy has changed. They need more urgency to get started in the morning, more caffeine to feel clear, more recovery time after normal demands, more effort to just stay calm and patient. The output is still there, but the system is paying more for it. That is compensation. One of the reasons high performers miss this is because they have been rewarded for output. They're used to being reliable. They're used to being the person who gets things done. They may even see pressure as normal. So when the body starts adapting in the background, they don't always notice it. They just push a little bit harder. They tighten the schedule. They reduce their recovery time. They tolerate more. And they keep moving. And because they're still producing, the pattern seems acceptable. But here's the problem. Output can remain stable long after adaptation begins to fail. By the time output drops, the system may have already been compensating for a long time. This is why I'm still functioning is useful information, but it's incomplete. The better question is, what does it take to keep functioning? Are you producing from capacity or are you producing from compensation? There is a difference. Capacity means you have enough reserve to meet the demand and recover from it. Compensation means the system is using a workaround to keep the output going. That workaround might be physical, more bracing, more tension, more guarding. Or it might be behavioral, more caffeine, more late nights, less movement, less recovery. Or it might be emotional, more control, more containment, and less patience when the performance is over. None of this is automatically bad. Sometimes compensation is exactly what life requires. There are weeks when you have to push, there are deadlines, there are family demands, there are clinical loads, there are seasons where the system simply has to absorb more. The problem isn't occasional compensation, the problem is when compensation becomes the operating system. A useful way to think about it is this. Performance is what you can produce, and pressure reveals how you produce it. Two people can have the same output but very different internal costs. One person finishes the week tired but steady. They recover, adapt, they come back with capacity renewed for the next week. But another person finishes the week depleted, tense, irritable, wired, sore, or needing the weekend just to become a functional human again. From the outside, both people might look productive, but internally they're not in the same state. And that difference matters because the goal isn't simply to keep output high, but the goal is to stay capable over the course of decades. And that requires margin, it requires reserve, it requires knowing when your system is adapting and when it's quietly paying more than it should. So this week, ask yourself this simple question. When I'm performing well, what's helping me perform? Is it genuine capacity, or is it pressure, urgency, tension, extra caffeine, or just trying to stay in control? Then ask yourself the second question. What happens after the output? Do I recover, or do I need to repay the effort with fatigue, tension, low mood, poor training, or reduced patience with my loved ones? This is the starting point for pressure proof. Most capable people, they don't break suddenly. They compensate first, sometimes for a long time. But if you can identify that compensation earlier, then you have more options. You can make better decisions and feel more empowered about your health and well-being and the sustainability of your workload before the pattern becomes obvious. If this is a pattern that you're recognizing in your own life, then check out the links below. Consider booking in a call so that we can find out where you may be compensating and what you can do about it. And keep pondering the question, are you performing or just compensating?